Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Today I want to talk about the olden days, the ancient times, when one could not simply watch a piece of animation anytime that they wanted by putting one of these things in a VCR, or of course later on DVDs, or then streaming, one system replacing the other. No, there was a time when, if you wanted to see Disney animation, you kind of had to rely on it showing up on TV. Maybe you could see a cartoon on the Mickey Mouse Club in repeats, at least when I was a kid, repeats. On Sundays, you could get Wonderful World of Disney, and they would sometimes show cartoons and things then. And they sometimes would even re-release these films into the movie theater. In fact, they did that quite a bit in the old days. It was pretty awesome. Sadly, something we don't really get these days. And I've often wondered why they didn't stick with that. I think it was like every 7 years or every 9 years, they would re-release a film into the theaters. And they do very well. And it kept the Disney magic alive. But there was a time when you had to be right place, right time, go to a movie theater. You weren't seeing Disney cartoons otherwise. Well, almost. Because we did have a couple ways that we could see Disney animation at home anytime we wanted. There were a couple methods. Here's one of them. Donald Duck, The Lost Jungle City. It's a little book from Whitman. Whitman published a lot of things like this. They published comic books as well. You see some of their other things that they had going. But let me direct you to this. Flip It Cartoons. See the movie. Now, some of you probably do this to this day, but we had something called flip books. And essentially, you'll see, right, words, a picture, but we also have this little picture up in the corner. In fact, we have one of those in every corner. And if we do this right, oh wait, I'm going from the wrong direction. Let's try that again. You can sort of see the little picture moving. Now, I mean, essentially, this is exactly what you're getting with animation, cartoons. It's just that they film it. This is where Donald realizes he's on a crocodile, and it takes a grab at him and runs away. Flip books like this was one way we could get animation at home whenever we wanted it. Sadly, no audio. Here's another little flip book that I got at a certain point. Now, I think this came along a little bit later. And there are two parts to this, well, so to speak. We have Pluto, if we can get that closer. We have a cartoon with Minnie. We'll see if we can get this going. And basically we have her, she was fishing, wasn't she? Oh, she caught a boat. Okay, I'm looking, what did she catch? She caught a boat. And on the other side, we have Pluto answering a telephone. So obviously, these are not as good as these. You don't have to use your thumbs. They tend to work a little better. And there's audio as well. But when you were a kid and you were bored, these were actually pretty cool. And this is one that I had in childhood. I've had this for a very long time. These, I want to say I got sometime in the 90s because I was really into animation for a while and thought I was going to make it a job of mine. Okay, but the coolest form of pre-VCR animation is not in flip books. No. Got to check this out. Now, I'm going to try to actually get this thing to work. And I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't know if we'll be able to see it through the little viewfinder. This is a FisherPrice little movie camera thing. Movie viewer. This is what you look through to see the cartoon, generally. Here's the other side. And you know, we have a little cassette in here. This particular one is The Three Little Pigs. And I also have, and I just realized I set something down on top of it, very foolishly. Here we go. I also happen to have Mickey Mouse and the Giant. And I am positive I had that Mickey Mouse, Donald, Goofy cartoon with the ghosts as well. And I don't know what's happened to it. So you can kind of see from this angle here, you got a little film strip in here, okay? And the film strip is projected onto a little dealy bob so that you can see it through here, basically. And this little gear meshes with, and I don't know how well you can see it, the gear inside here. So you move this little thing to advance it. Now, this is old. This little turner thing doesn't work very beautifully at this point, but I'm going to try to get it to work enough that you can see a little portion of the Three Little Pigs. The Mickey's Beanstalk cartridge seems to simply just not want to work anymore, and I can't tell what's wrong with it. I've looked. I haven't been able to figure it out. Now, the key here is I need a light source. I'm going to try to use this glowing orb of power to do it, which I've just turned the light off. There we go. By the way, little egg light, $4 at Daiso. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's see if I can get this to work. I'm going to have to do it, I think, maybe maybe not at an angle. Okay, how close can I get that to the camera without making a horrible, horrible mistake? Let's get this light. It's actually I want the light over at the side. Oh, okay, hold on. Might have to. Okay. We're going to call an audible here and do this a little bit differently. So prepare for a jump. Okay. So I think you could just barely make it out. And when I say just barely, I kind of mean maybe not at all. Okay, I think you could just barely make out that there is animation happening in there. Obviously, I'm a little shaky trying to turn this thing. But you could maybe just make out the Three Little Pigs from Disney. I know it's hard to focus on this thing moving around. Well, I knew this was going to be a difficult thing to try to show, but I figured I'd take an attempt at it. There is a focus thing here that would help probably a little bit, but me trying to hold this up to a camera and just look at a computer screen makes it rather difficult to focus or do anything else for that matter. But there it is, the FisherPrice movie viewer. Now, they had quite a few different cartridges that you could get, and they weren't all Disney. And they also made a larger viewer that looked a little bit like an old TV set. Turn that light down a little bit, since I'm not using it at the moment. And so it looked a little bit more like an old TV, and you could put the cartridges, I think the same cartridges in there. But you're a kid in the 1970s. I mean, unless you were a rich kid and you could actually, get a VCR or something like that. These were great sort of rainy day toys, or you're grounded and you're stuck in your room kind of toys, or lazy day and all your friends are away, you're homesick. You didn't necessarily play with it all the time, but when there was sort of that boredom, that ennui that you were suffering, little things like this were great pick-me-ups. And it's also just cool to see the technology they put in play. Because I can tell you, while this thing is pretty shaky now, it used to work quite a bit better when I was younger. And this was actually a toy that a neighbor had, very good friends of ours. And I don't know what age I was, but I was probably in junior high, maybe getting closer to high school. And they were having a garage sale, and she was selling off some old toys. And I absolutely coveted this thing when I was a kid. I coveted this thing. I wanted it so badly. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I love this kind of mechanical stuff, and I love cartoons. And so even though I was way too old, when I saw this on the little table, I was like, oh, I'm buying it. I am finally going to make this thing mine. So in some respects, this is probably the first toy that I ever collected, because obviously it wasn't something that I bought so that I could, sit there in junior high and enjoy small film strips of the Three Pigs. I'd moved well beyond that at that point. But it was just something that I had to have. Not unlike buying a Shogun Warrior a few years ago, another toy that I'd always desperately wanted, but never was able to get. So there we go. FisherPrice, movie reel viewer, somewhat related to the concept of the Viewmaster. I'll try to show those off one time too, and it'll probably work just about as well. And the old flip books. This was Disney animation in the pre-VCR era. And I hope you enjoyed taking a look at them. If you did, please maybe give this video a like. Maybe think about subscribing to the channel. I talk about various toys, comic books, movies, TV, books, etc., games. Try to cover all sorts of pop culture stuff, mostly focusing on vintage stuff, but not entirely on vintage. You'll find some modern things in there as well. That sounds like something you might enjoy. You might want to think about subscribing. Maybe share with a friend as well. If you have any comments, maybe if you owned any of these, if these are cherished toys from your childhood, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you have any questions about any of these things, I'd love to do my best to answer them. Until next time, though, until the next video, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Try to have some fun. And I'll see you next time in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.